Gerald Celente, who's a forecaster on economic conditions, is apparently available. We're going to set that up. Is he on the line right now? Gerald, good morning.
Good morning. Aren't we supposed to be on today?
Well, yeah, it was 10 o'clock according to my information, but that must be 10 o'clock Eastern according to your people. So we had a little mix-up, but that's okay. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. So where was the mix-up? On whose end?
Well, in my mind, it was 10 o'clock Central, but I think your people thought it was 10 o'clock Eastern, but that's okay. Right. We have you. We love you. We'll get to drunk driving later. In the meantime, you got to be. What are your thoughts about the record day on the stock market yesterday? I mean, what does this mean to Main Street?
Well, are we on the air?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Radio at its best, Gerald.
It's an interest rate. It's an interest rate increase. That's all it is. A driven market. There's nothing else behind it. It's just nothing more than low interest rates. It's driving the stock market. It's driving the housing market. It's driving the automobiles. Now, you want to get a loan? I'll give you a loan for an automobile, no money down, start paying in 60 months. So it's just cheap money.
Yeah. So how long can this go on?
Well, it's going to have to end at some time. It's a Federal Reserve interest rate-driven market. They did the same thing back after 9/11. If anyone goes back to just before that, in 2000, the Dow crashed, the NASDAQ rather. The big dot-com bubble exploded. And what happened was that after 9/11, they lowered interest rates to 40-year lows, and they created the real estate bubble. They're doing the same thing now, but not only in the United States, but they're doing it worldwide. You look what's going on in Japan. They're lowering interest rates. They're pumping money into the system. The yen has declined some 20% since they announced that policy in December. You look what's going on in Europe. Mario Draghi, the head of the European Central Bank, he said very clearly that what they were going to do was buy up all those worthless bonds as long as they could keep buying them and keep pumping more money into the system. Over here we call it quantitative easing. Right. Over there they call it ongoing monetary transactions. So this is clearly an interest rate-driven recovery, and at some time interest rates are going to have to go up, and the economy is going to crash.
Of course, we've been hearing that now for, it seems like, 100 years, Gerald. And Michael Bloomberg last week said we could borrow money forever.
Again, you can do it, and you'll debase the currency. And that's going to happen at some point. And this is unprecedented, what's going on. You go back to Davos about a month ago, and what happened in Davos as well was that the word was 3 letters, LBO, leverage buyouts. The whole merger and acquisition boom has happened again because it's so cheap to borrow money. And they're doing it in China as well. They're printing money, and they're dumping it into the system, and that's what's keeping it going. Oh, yeah. But they're doing it differently. What they're doing, rather than giving it to the banks only, they're using it for infrastructure repair. They're building magnificent rail lines throughout the country. So they're putting it more into the development of the nation rather than into the pockets of the bank. And you mentioned Bloomberg. You could go back to Bloomberg Reports, his website, and they ran a story about a week and a half ago that the big profits from the banks, the top banks, that came in at about $83 billion, they weren't profits at all. They were subsidies from us, we the people, because the Fed is allowing them to borrow at such low rates that we're actually subsidizing them. That's coming out of Bloomberg. So at some point, I don't know when it's going to happen, but, common sense tells you that this can't go on forever. You just cannot keep printing cheap money.
So, in your best guess estimate, when does the crash happen?
I don't know, because they keep coming up with these schemes undreamed of. Hey, there was a quaint thing years ago. We're probably both old enough to remember. People used to make money, a little extra, and they used to put it in the bank. And they used to get what they call savings.
What a concept.
What a concept it was. Now you put it in the bank, what do you get back?
I don't know.
You're lucky if you get a percentage. If you have $100,000 in there, you get 1%.
1%, yeah.
Yeah, so what they're doing, you see, is they're forcing people to speculate into the markets. So that's what's going on.
It doesn't sound very stable to me.
Well, again, anybody could figure it out. You can't do this. It's a bubble they're creating because look what's going on over in Europe. You saw the elections in Italy. You see Greece is ready to explode again. They're saying now that they can no longer bring in any more austerity measures. You had over 1 million people protesting in Portugal this last weekend, several million in Spain the weekend before. Then you look at the wars going on in Syria. There's a beauty going on in Libya, a lovely one going on in Yemen. You just keep going. Egypt is collapsing. Then you go, of course, to Tunisia. That's in collapse as well. And then the war is heating up in Bahrain. And as like you said, all of this social unrest going on throughout Europe, those are class warfare, actually. And then what you had with France going into Mali. Oh, by the way, everybody, the French Sudan, they can't get over that trip from 1896 to 1990. They also happen to have 50 tons of gold that they extracted from Mali last year. So with France's budget going down and they're in trouble, it's always good to invade a small country and grab what they got. So this thing is ready to, it can't go on like this. At some point, it's going to have to crack.
Didn't you say that energy is the one place where we could come back and dig ourselves out if we really were aggressive in the energy sector?
It would help. There's no question. But again, at what price and at what cost in terms of, how much effect does it have on the environment? As you have our TrendsJournal, we did a 10,000-word essay, a white paper on fracking, hydrofracking. We don't take any stand on it. We just put the information out there. But that's not enough because there used to be another thing in this country. It was called manufacturing. I know that sounds like a quaint concept
what happened
as well.
To that?
Well, go back to actually began the deregulation process, both the banks and all the other regulations that were put into place to give the people an even shot. Began to deregulate under Jimmy Carter. Look how lovely it is to fly now. I remember, I'm a young guy in the 70s, and I was flying. I had a good job. I was flying first class around the country, around the world. And I remember when you got served lobster thermidor. And then they said, let's deregulate the airline industry. There were very strict regulations on the airline industry for a purpose. They began to deregulate it under Carter. Look what the airline has become. It's like getting on a bus in Calcutta. So what they've done, you see, Mitch, everything is in the hands of a few.
Well, you always tell it like it is, but we appreciate the short window this morning, Gerald. TrendsResearch.com, the TrendsJournal. It's a great forecaster of what's going to happen out there. You've been right on all these bubbles going back 20 years. Thank you very much for the time, and maybe you can enjoy the NCAA tournament or spring training. Just get your mind off the world economy.
Okay, take care now.
All right, take
Thanks,
care.
Sammy. Bye-bye.
Now,